Hey everyone, have you ever wondered where to turn when you need a little boost of hope, strength, or courage? Well, you're in the right place. In today's video, we're diving into 50 of the most motivational and powerful Bible verses that are sure to lift your spirits and brighten your day. Whether you're facing a tough moment, looking for peace, or just want to feel closer to God, these scriptures will inspire you, guide you, and remind you that you're never alone. So grab your favorite spot, get comfy, and let's explore how these timeless words can bring more joy, strength, and hope into your life. Let's get started. Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Have you ever felt like you couldn't do something because it was too hard? What if I told you there's someone who can give you all the strength you need to do anything? This verse tells us that with Jesus by our side, we can do anything, even the hardest stuff. Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Do you ever wonder what's going to happen tomorrow? God says He already knows. And guess what? His plans are all about making your future bright and full of hope. Isn't it amazing to know that God has good things planned just for you? Isaiah 40:31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint. Imagine being as strong as an eagle, flying high in the sky. This verse says that if you trust God, He will make you strong like an eagle. You'll be able to keep going and never get tired. Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Did you know that even when bad things happen, God can turn them into something good? It's like turning a rainy day into a rainbow. God's always working behind the scenes to help us. Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. What if you knew you never had to be afraid again? This verse tells us something. Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. Have you ever been lost or didn't know which way to go? This verse tells us that if we trust God, He will guide us, like a flashlight showing us the right way. Matthew 19:26. With man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. What if I told you that things that seem impossible, like moving a mountain or walking on water, are totally possible with God? He can do anything, and He can help you too. Psalm 46:1. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Imagine having a super strong fort where nothing bad can get you. This verse tells us that God is like that fort. He's always there to help us when we're in trouble. Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. Have you ever believed in something even though you couldn't see it, like the wind or love? This verse is about faith, trusting that God is working even when we don't see Him. Isaiah 41:10. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Do you feel scared sometimes? This verse tells us not to be afraid because God is always holding our hand and will make us strong when we need it. 2 Timothy 1:7. For the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. What if I told you that God has given you a spirit full of power, love, and courage? You don't need to feel shy or afraid because God makes you strong inside. Psalm 23:1-4. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. Have you ever seen a shepherd take care of sheep? This verse says, God is like that shepherd. He takes care of us, gives us everything we need, and helps us rest when we're tired. Deuteronomy 31:6. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. What if you knew that no matter where you went, God would never ever leave you? This verse reminds us to be brave because God is always right by our side. Psalm 37:4. Take delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Do you know the things you really, really want? This verse says that if you love God and trust Him, He will give you what your heart desires. John 16:33. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. Have you ever had a tough day? This verse tells us that even when things get hard, we don't have to worry because Jesus has already won over all the tough stuff. Ephesians 6:10. Finally be strong in the Lord and in His mighty power. Do you want to be really strong? This verse says that when we trust in God, we get His strength, which is way stronger than anything else. Isaiah 43:2. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. Have you ever been in deep water and felt a little scared? God says that when you go through tough times, He's right there with you, and nothing can overwhelm you. Psalm 118:24. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Did you know every day is a gift from God? This verse reminds us to be happy and celebrate each day because God made it just for us. 1 Corinthians 16:13. Be on your guard. Stand firm in the faith. Be courageous. Be strong. What would you do if you needed to stand up for what's right? This verse encourages us to be brave and stand strong in our faith, even when it's hard. Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Have you ever thought about thinking in a new way? This verse tells us not to just follow the crowd, but to let God help us think in a fresh, better way. Proverbs 16:3. Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans. Have you ever built something out of blocks and wanted it to stand tall? This verse tells us that if we give all our plans to God, He'll help make sure everything stands strong and works out just right. Psalm 34:17. The righteous cry out, and the Lord hears them. He delivers them from all their troubles. Did you know that whenever you're sad or in trouble, God hears you right away? It's like having the best listener who's always there to help you out. 1 Peter 5:7. Cast all your anxiety on Him because He cares for you. Do you ever feel worried about something? This verse is like a reminder to hand your worries to God because He cares for you so much and wants to carry those worries for you. Psalm 55:22. Cast your cares on the Lord, and He will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken. What if you had a giant backpack full of worries? This verse says you can give that heavy backpack to God, and He'll carry it for you so you won't have to struggle. Isaiah 26:3. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you. Do you want to feel calm inside, like everything is going to be okay? This verse says that when we trust God, He gives us peace in our hearts and minds. James 1:12. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love Him. Have you ever won a prize for finishing something really hard? This verse says, When we keep going, even when it's tough, God has a special reward waiting for us. Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Have you ever felt so tired you just wanted to rest? Jesus says we can come to him when we're tired, and he'll give us the rest we need, like a big comfy bed for our hearts. Psalm 121, 1-2. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Have you ever needed help with something really big? This verse reminds us that the same God who made the mountains and the stars is there to help you when you need it. Hebrews 12:1. Let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us. Have you ever run in a race and wanted to stop when you got tired? This verse tells us to keep running the race of life because God has a special finish line just for us. Proverbs 18:10. The name of the Lord is a fortified tower. The righteous run to it and are safe. Imagine running to a big strong castle where nothing can hurt you. This verse says that God is like that castle. When you run to him, you're safe and protected. Philippians 4:6-7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. What if you could talk to God about anything that worries you? This verse says we can pray to God anytime, and he will give us peace in exchange for our worries. Psalm 27:1. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Have you ever been in a dark room and felt scared? God is like a bright light that chases away all the darkness, so you don't have to be afraid of anything. Isaiah 54:17. No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. Did you know that nothing can hurt you when God is on your side? This verse tells us that no matter what happens, God is stronger than anything that tries to harm us. Matthew 6:33. But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well. Have you ever looked for something really important, like a lost toy? This verse tells us that if we look for God first, everything else we need will come, just like finding the best treasure. Romans 8:31. If God is for us, who can be against us? What if you had the strongest, best team ever? This verse says that with God on our team, no one can stand against us, because he's always there to protect and help us. Galatians 6:9. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Have you ever planted seeds and waited for them to grow? This verse says, when we keep doing good things, God will make sure we get a big reward, just like a garden full of fruit. Psalm 91:2. I will say of the Lord, he is my refuge and my fortress, my God, in whom I trust. What if you had the strongest fort that no one could ever break into? This verse says that God is like a super safe fortress where you can always feel protected. Mark 9:23. If you can't, said Jesus, everything is possible for one who believes. Have you ever thought something was just too hard to do? This verse reminds us that when we believe in God, anything is possible, even things that seem impossible. Psalm 62:6. Truly he is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will not be shaken. What if you stood on a rock that never moved, no matter how much the wind blew? This verse says that God is like that rock. He keeps us steady and safe no matter what. John 14:27. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. What if someone could give you a gift that made all your fears go away? Jesus says that his peace is like a special gift that takes away our worries and makes our hearts feel calm. Psalm 139:14. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. Have you ever thought about how amazing you are? This verse says that God made you in such a special and wonderful way, like a masterpiece that He's really proud of. 1 Corinthians 10:13. No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind, and God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. Have you ever felt tempted to do something you knew wasn't right? This verse tells us that God will always help you say no to things that aren't good for you, and He won't let it be too hard. Matthew 5:16. Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Have you ever seen a bright light in the dark? This verse says that when we do good things, it's like shining our light for everyone to see, and it points people to God. Colossians 3:23. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters. What if everything you did, even small things, was a way to show love to God? This verse says that when we do our best in everything, it's like doing it for God, and that makes it really special. Romans 15:13. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in Him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. Have you ever felt so happy you couldn't stop smiling? This verse tells us that when we trust in God, He fills us with so much joy and peace that it overflows like a cup spilling over. 1 John 4:18. There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear. What if love was so strong that it made all your fears go away? This verse tells us that God's perfect love is so powerful, it can push away every fear from your heart. Psalm 37:5. Commit your way to the Lord. Trust in Him and He will do this. Do you ever need help making big decisions? This verse says if you give your plans to God and trust Him, He'll help make things happen in the best way possible. Luke 1:37. For no word from God will ever fail. Have you ever made a promise and tried really hard to keep it? This verse says that God always keeps His promises, no matter what, because His words never fail. 2 Corinthians 5:7. For we live by faith, not by sight. Have you ever trusted something even though you couldn't see it? This verse tells us that we don't need to see everything to believe. God wants us to trust Him with our hearts, even when we can't see. Exodus 14:14. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. What if you didn't have to fight any of your battles alone? This verse says that God will fight for you, and you don't have to worry or struggle. Just trust Him and be still. Wow, wasn't that amazing? I hope you feel as inspired as I do by these incredible scriptures. Remember, no matter what you're going through, God's word is always here to remind you that you are loved, you are strong, and you are never alone. Thank you so much for watching. If this video encourages you, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who might need a little extra motivation today, and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future videos. Let's continue this journey together, growing in faith and strength.